Noah Carter had barely entered the Bennett family's wedding anniversary party when Richard noticed the flower still clinging to the cuff of his jacket. In front of dozens of guests, he coldly called the 34-year-old baker a failure. But Richard did not know that the aging, rented kitchen he looked down on was quietly testing a plan that could destroy the largest business deal of his career. Noah had arrived late because the oven had malfunctioned. He had repaired the thermostat himself, finished the pastries he had promised to donate to a homeless support center, and only then changed into a clean jacket. In his hands was the anniversary cake Olivia had asked him to make especially for her parents. Caroline Bennett noticed the flower on his sleeve and quietly called the restaurant manager. She instructed the staff to seat Noah near the kitchen entrance so the family photographs would look more balanced. Olivia did not argue with the employees. She moved Noah's chair to the main table herself and placed it beside her own. The sound of silverware slowed, while Richard stared at the chair as though it were a challenge. In front of every guest, he asked Noah, "You have not even finished paying off your equipment loan. How do you plan to provide a future for my daughter?" Noah placed his glass on the table. "I did not come here to ask for a job or money. I came because Olivia wanted me to celebrate with both of you." Richard laughed quietly. A 34-year-old man still working in a rented kitchen and driving a vehicle that is about to die is not building a future. He is a failure. Olivia demanded that her father apologize and suggested they continue the conversation privately. Richard refused. He told Noah to stay away from his daughter before she became responsible for debts that did not belong to her. Olivia stood. "I do not choose the man I will marry according to the balance in his bank account." She left the party with Noah before learning what was stored on the red flash drive inside his coat. On the way home, Noah did not encourage her to cut ties with her family. "Do not make a permanent decision while you are angry," he said. "Your father was wrong, but he is still your father." Noah stopped at the support center to deliver the pastries as promised. Even though the bakery account was nearly empty, he did not reduce the donation. When he saw an elderly man who had once helped his mother build a stand at the weekend market, Noah quietly asked the kitchen to bring him an extra bowl of hot soup. The following morning, a warning from the equipment lender was waiting beneath the door of Carter's bakery. Noah had only a few weeks to stabilize his cash flow before the loan entered formal collection. He folded the notice and opened the bakery as usual. His two employees still received all their scheduled hours. Noah reduced only his own evening meals. He entered the kitchen, where the chalkboard displayed the numbers. 3, 90, 24. A delivery worker assumed they represented a recipe ratio. Noah did not explain. He wiped flour from the red flash drive and checked 3 stacks of paper bags carrying the same small flame symbol. The bags would be delivered to 3 different stores, but none of them displayed a shared brand name. Before opening time, Eleanor Grant from the Vermont Community Business Development Fund arrived. She did not purchase anything. She measured the storage temperature, reviewed ingredient invoices, and recorded the time each batch left the oven. "What do you see?" Noah asked. "I see figures that still need to be verified," Eleanor answered. "Do not mistake my interest for a promise." Afterward, Noah visited Lopez Family Market. Maria Lopez placed 3 invoices on the counter. Her store, the cafe across the street, and the delicatessen were all purchasing the same flour, butter, and packaging at high prices. 3 separate delivery vehicles were also making trips while carrying only half their capacity. Maria lowered her voice. "The 3-month trial is over. How much longer are you going to hide the results?" Noah connected the flash drive to the computer. The screen displayed data that had not yet received independent verification. Ingredient costs had fallen by 17%. Average revenue had increased by 24% over 90 days. 3 stores, Maria said. So the numbers on your kitchen board mean 3, 90, and 24. Noah nodded, but did not celebrate. The model still depended on his aging vehicle, one oven, and his own physical effort. One successful week could not repay the debt, much less protect the entire neighborhood. That afternoon, Richard held a press conference at City Hall. He announced that North Star Market would invest in Cedar Ridge, renovate Main Street, and create approximately 120 jobs. His speech did not mention that the agreement would take effect only if Bennett Development delivered enough adjoining commercial properties. Richard had seen Noah meeting with local business owners after closing time. He assumed the baker was asking them to save his shop. Because of that assumption, he never considered the paper bags marked with a small flame to be a threat. That evening, Maria received an offer to purchase her lease rights with a short deadline for responding. The other stores received similar envelopes. Noah spread a map of Main Street across his kitchen table. The 14 businesses targeted by North Star formed one continuous strip of property. He opened his mother's old recipe book. Beside the bread recipes, she had written, "Purchase together. One delivery vehicle. No one loses the name of their own store." On Noah's map, those same 14 businesses had been circled months earlier. If Richard needed all 14 properties to complete his deal, why had their names already appeared inside the secret notebook of the baker he had just called a failure? The following morning, Noah spread the map before the local business owners. Carter's Hearth would purchase ingredients together, share delivery services and an online ordering system, while every store kept its own name, ownership, and profits. "Where do you stand in all of this?" one cafe owner asked. "The Carter name appears everywhere, and one day we discover that we are all working for you?" Noah displayed the proposed charter on the screen. "I have 1 vote. Maria has 1 vote. Every member has 1 vote. I do not own anyone else's store, and my vote carries no more authority than yours." The 3 trial businesses had produced strong results, but North Star was offering money to persuade the remaining owners to leave. Noah was asking them to share the risk instead. Eleanor examined the red flash drive, verified the data, and identified the weaknesses. The delivery vehicle was old, the product insurance was insufficient, there was no emergency reserve, and the entire system depended too heavily on Noah. "What remains if you become sick, or this oven stops working?" Noah did not have a good enough answer. "I am not rejecting the idea," Eleanor said, "but you must prove that it can continue operating when you are not standing beside the oven." Noah rehired 2 employees whose hours had been reduced and trained them to manage production, temperature records, and orders. Olivia created a paid apprenticeship program, but she removed herself from every school purchasing decision to avoid a conflict of interest. The first test arrived sooner than expected. Noah's vehicle broke down during a delivery. The pastries reached the cafe late, and a major customer canceled an order because it did not arrive in time for the event. Noah did not blame the driver. He issued a refund, recorded the loss in the report, and called the customer to accept responsibility. That night, the entire team worked until morning to complete the following day's orders. Eleanor read the report, which did not attempt to hide the loss. "Your transparency deserves recognition, but kindness cannot replace an operating system." The comment left Noah silent. He had been solving every problem alone since leaving school to care for his mother. But if Carter's hearth could survive only by pushing him to exhaustion, it would not protect anyone for long. Noah looked at the faded Carter's Bakery sign. The money he had saved to repaint it became the deposit on a used refrigerated delivery truck. He accepted that his own store would remain worn and old if it allowed the network to deliver on time. Olivia brought Noah back to the Bennett home and placed the plan, charter, and data before her parents. "I am only asking you to read it before judging," she said. Richard stopped at the loan section. He did not study the voting structure or the number of jobs the plan might protect. "This proposal is filled with risk," he said. "If it fails, Olivia will be the person carrying the consequences." Richard had grown up in poverty and believed he was protecting his daughter from the life he had escaped. But his fear of hardship allowed him to see only what Noah lacked, not the value he was creating. Noah answered, "I am not asking Olivia to guarantee the loan or invest money. She has removed herself from every school contract." That was Richard's second opportunity to stop. Instead, he closed the file without finishing it. Maria requested a 90-day delay in the North Star agreement. Richard refused. He then sent notices increasing rent and denying lease renewals to several businesses in properties managed by his company. Caroline knew what was happening, but remained silent, believing it was the price of development. North Star's money was enough to help the store owners repay their debts and leave. Carter's hearth depended on a baker who was already in debt, a vehicle that had just broken down, and a loan that had not yet been approved. Noah looked at Maria. "I should withdraw the offer. If I bring everyone into this plan and fail, they will lose more than I will." That night, he sat alone inside the bakery. When he opened Lucy's old recipe book, Noah discovered a letter hidden inside the back cover. His mother had written, "I do not dream of seeing the Carter name on one large store. I only hope that small businesses will not have to turn off their lights alone. A loaf of bread matters only when it helps the entire neighborhood keep its lights on." Noah remembered that Lucy had once shared her final loaf with the neighboring stand, even when she had no customers herself. She understood that a community survived only when people refused to abandon one another during difficult times. Noah realized that his mother had not left him a dream of fame. She had challenged him to build something capable of surviving beyond the strength of one person. Before sunrise, Noah added a member-elected board, an emergency reserve, independent quality inspections, and a 2-year limit on executive compensation. Maria was nominated as the first chairwoman. Eleanor reviewed the proposal one final time. She confirmed that the trial data was genuine and that the model now included systems of accountability. But the fund would not rescue Carter's Bakery by itself. "The loan will be released only if at least 10 businesses vote to join before North Star's deadline," she said. "Otherwise, this entire plan will remain only a beautiful recipe inside your mother's notebook." The property condition was also clarified. Richard had to deliver at least 10 adjoining locations for the North Star agreement to take effect. If the businesses refused to leave together, North Star could not continue. Fewer than 24 hours remained before the vote. Half of the local business owners were still considering whether to accept North Star's money. Could Noah persuade them to risk their futures on a baker who had not even finished paying his own debts? At City Hall, Richard presented the North Star proposal to local business owners and residents. The supermarket chain promised to renovate Main Street, increase tax revenue, and create approximately 120 jobs. Many store owners began to reconsider their positions. Noah did not describe North Star as an enemy. "Competition is legal," he said, "but people who have spent their entire lives building their stores deserve another choice before selling everything." Richard stood. Why should this town trust a bakery that has not even saved itself? You are in debt, and your delivery vehicle just caused you to lose a major order. Noah publicly disclosed the amount of his debt, the delivery failure, the insurance risks, and the limit on his salary during the first 2 years. I will not become the owner of these stores. I will operate under contract, and I can be replaced if I fail to meet the required standards. Noah revealed that Carter's Bakery had been producing goods for 3 businesses during a 90-day trial. Carter's Hearth was not merely a plan on paper. Eleanor Grant connected the red flash drive to the City Hall computer. An independent review confirmed that ingredient costs had fallen by 17%, average revenue had increased by 24%, and no employees had been dismissed. She explained the meaning of 3-90-24. 3 stores, 90 days, a 24% increase in average revenue. Invoices, sales accounts, and delivery schedules had all been independently verified. Maria and the other 2 store owners confirmed that the invoices, revenue figures, delivery routes, and employment records matched the report. Representatives from the hospital, senior center, and school confirmed that contracts would be evaluated independently according to safety and operating capacity. Olivia had taken no part in the purchasing decisions. Richard looked at the name Carter's Hearth. You still want to place your name across the entire street? This is a takeover wrapped in beautiful language. Maria displayed the charter. The stores remain under their original ownership, and every member receives 1 vote. We chose this name to honor Lucy Carter. Olivia stepped forward. I chose Noah at the anniversary party before I knew these numbers existed. His success today is not what makes my love for him right. The 14 store owners voted one by one. Every business targeted by North Star agreed to join Carter's Hearth. Each vote carried a different fear: unpaid loans, employees whose jobs needed protection, and stores inherited from parents. They did not turn Noah into a hero. They accepted responsibility together for the choice they were making. Eleanor confirmed the loan, which included financial and quality oversight. North Star had to withdraw because Bennett Development could no longer provide the 10 adjoining commercial locations required by the agreement. Richard lost the deal because the people he had underestimated chose another path together. He could have blamed Noah, but the rent increase notices were still sitting in front of him. Richard realized that the way he had used his power had pushed the local business owners onto the same side. They were not opposed to development. They simply no longer trusted that his plan included a place for them. Bennett Development accepted a new agreement limiting rent increases for 5 years, requiring transparent standards, and giving local business representatives a role in future evaluations. Several weeks later, Cedar Ridge held an opening celebration on Main Street. Across 14 awnings appeared the words, Carter's Hearth, locally owned, together. Richard and Caroline stood quietly as they saw the name of the man they had once called a failure displayed throughout the town. But beneath every sign remained the family name of the people who had owned each store before. Noah had not purchased a single business. He had helped the original owners keep them. In front of the community, Richard apologized. I judged you by what you had not yet achieved and ignored what you were already creating. Noah accepted the apology, but did not pretend that every injury had disappeared. Trust will require time and action to rebuild. Caroline apologized for valuing public appearances more than her daughter's happiness. Olivia asked her parents to respect Noah and working people, even when no reporters were present. 6 months later, Carter's Hearth still had debts to repay and quality inspections to pass. Noah continued working the morning shift at the bakery. He did not become a millionaire, and the success of the plan did not remove his responsibilities. The network protected the jobs of existing employees, created a paid apprenticeship program for young people, and established an emergency reserve for members facing a crisis. Maria was elected chairwoman of the board, while Eleanor continued providing independent oversight. Noah and Olivia became engaged during a quiet evening inside Carter's bakery. There were no reporters and no attempt to prove anything to her family. There was only a small ring, Lucy's old notebook, and the lights from the stores still glowing along the street. Noah did not prove his worth by becoming wealthier than the man who had insulted him. He proved it by creating a system that helped 14 families remain standing together. Some people appear to be failing because most of their strength is being used to support others. Lasting success does not mean placing your name above the community. It means making sure no one in that community has to turn off the lights alone. What would you have done in Olivia's place? Would you have had the courage to stand beside Noah while he was still in debt and had no guarantee that his plan would succeed? Share your answer and subscribe to Stewart Stories to continue following stories of love, hope, and justice.